Hello and welcome back to the second development update of the Pandemic of the Forgotten Virus. I'm Eagles, one of the developers of the game, and I would like to tell you what has been updated about our game. First of all, we did a whole lot of explaining on the first devlog since it was just mostly about the base game, so if you missed it, please check it out first with our planned presentation video in the description down below. No, seriously, go check it out. It's important. Alright, on to the actual update. First of all, please welcome the two characters that were only sketches when we first made the first devlog. They are Noah, a scientist that personally worked on the effort to make floating island technology cheaper. She has quite the dark background. During one of her testing, her family was visiting the facility when something gone terribly wrong. She has lost everything, and while attempting to vent her anger, she contracted the virus and turned insane. She now has no other desire than to let the whole world know of her sorrow. Noah uses rockets to deal with hindrance to her plan. This is reflected by her ultimate abilities. The second character is Angers, a strange but cute girl that proclaims herself to be part of the Ascended, a group of humans that left for the stratosphere 100 years ago and have gained weird powers such as flying, immortality, and wings, apparently. She believes that if more humans were to go to the sky, it will be a matter of time before the virus also adapts to live on the sky and cause another extinction event. She is the voice of authority to the Ascended, which makes defeating her crucial for the main character. Angers is an angelic being that uses lasers to eliminate foes alike. This is also reflected in her ultimate abilities. Now, in terms of main game, we've just implemented two new levels which have two characters that we just mentioned as their respective bosses. We have also added all of their stories and some endings, so make sure to read through them. Oh, and we heard that some of you don't like reading, so we have added a special skip button just to blaze through the annoying part and get straight into the action. I'd like to take a moment to thank our lead artist, Nekoucing. Yes, we actually hired a dedicated artist for our main 2D sprites. This really wouldn't have been possible without his help. Go follow him at twitter.com/Nekoucing. He makes great pixel art. We also added a new graze ring. This is a ring that is visible when you hold down focus. If a bullet were to enter the ring, it counts as you grazing the bullet. We talked about grazing in detail at the first video, so again, check it out. Now, as you might see from the gameplay we're showing, things are somewhat different from the last version. We have randomized and balanced the game. We have added other enemy spawn patterns so the game doesn't feel jarring to play over and over again. But it does add a certain amount of luck and getting used to as opposed to the previous one. The big enemy pattern is the same, as we feel like it will be wrong to also randomize it. Now, in versus mode, there are new options to choose from. Player versus player is the versus mode you know previously, but now you can choose to fight against an AI or let the AI duke it out as you laugh menacingly as it reminds you that the robot apocalypse is still far, far away. Hopefully. This way you don't have to play through the story mode to fight against a different opponent. Oh, and speaking about AI, let's talk more in depth about our AI technology. Our AI is what makes our game special because it uses a neural network architecture. It basically simulates how neurons in the human brain works, processing inputs of information, which in this case is the position of nearby bullets, and translating it to be movements. Now, at first, our AI just moves randomly, but we put it through a long training process with multiple iterations and different algorithms, or even a whole different architecture. Our AI lead, Nekoucing, has been working hard to deliver the best AI for our game, or at least one that works properly. You might notice that previously our AI wasn't very good. Well, that might still be the case now as the game is quite challenging at later stages, but he made big improvements over the last generation which will provide players with more challenges than ever. You might notice that in the background, we've been playing the same AI versus AI B-roll footage. That's how good it currently is. And we finally arrived at an AI that can survive the game for as long as 9 minutes. 9 minutes! That's a long time to be playing a game, right? Well, it might not be, but it certainly is for a bullet hell. We hope that in the coming release day, our AI is even smarter and better. Back to the game. We added remappable controls to the game, which will be very useful for you guys who doesn't have a 10 keyless keyboard but would like to play multiplayer. We also added a simple manual of how to play, but this will be rendered obsolete if you choose to change the control anyway. We also added a warning before each ultimate ability, as well as distinct sounds when it happens and when you die. We also added a music room to credit our very talented composer, Faceblaze. Here you can play various musics you encounter throughout the game. Now, as to what we would like to improve before our release is actually one of our points in the first devlog, the sprites or the design overall. Our team aren't exactly the creative type, which is why we need an artist after all, but we would like to change the sprite to better, more fitting ones. We will also polish our game in terms of difficulty because we feel like it's somewhat unbalanced, though that's not what some of our playtesters seems to think, apparently, but we'd still like to do it regardless. Thank you for watching.